We use Schoology, eFinance Plus, HR and finance solution, and then Unified Talent for the professional learning and the performance evaluation tool within there. Who knew it? And as of recently, now Naviance, because we've been a long time Naviance user. So my running joke with PowerSchools is you have a good eye for good solutions, because we've been finding these solutions prior to PowerSchools being the parent of them all. It's been a fun ride over the last year as we've been looking at modernizing our solutions and the different
Yeah.
changes that have been occurring.
I've been really impressed with some of the creativity of our customers, especially the teachers, in engaging students. Have you seen that sort of creativity to continue the learning in your district?
So we've seen a lot of teachers engage in a lot of creative and innovative practices in terms of engaging students and thinking about learning in new ways. You know, Teaching in this environment through a pandemic is difficult, and creates a lot of challenges for teachers and families and how to navigate a rapid change in learning environment. On the same token, there have been some, shining opportunities that have gotten, teachers thinking about their instructional practice differently, and have had the opportunity to experiment with some things, in particular with technology and how to utilize technology in different ways to work with their students and individualize instruction differently for their students through this. So, one of the pieces that excites me and the digital learning team that I work with in our district is it's almost been a technology immersion school for teachers, because we've had a one-to-one program for over 6 years within our district, and it's had varying levels of adoption, within the classroom space. But the one thing that we know and are really taking away as a positive out of this is that the pandemic has kind of forced all teachers into what we've been trying to provide: professional development and training, and changing the culture with some of our instructional practices, and have kind of forced the teachers into that place to play
Yeah.
around and experiment and think differently and innovatively, that we're really optimistic are going to carry forward as we move back to in person, which has strong value as well. We don't want to say that, yep, distance learning was great, remote, everybody wants to do on learning, and we're going to have hybrid learning. That's not the best way for all students, but there are things that we're excited and are anticipating are going to come back into the in-person classroom. We may have more opportunities with hybrid learning for certain groups of students. And, in terms of structurally, we're standing up a full-time K-12 online school starting next year, because we know we've got families now have gone through this experience and have found that this learning space is working better for their student. And so I think, one of the big things that are coming out is creating multiple pathways and opportunities for families and students to learn in the style and mode that's most impactful for them. So that's what, as we return to in person, is going to be fascinating to watch and see how things come out.
So you mentioned launching a fully online school for the fall. That's exciting, but that's got a lot of moving parts, I imagine, and that would potentially be a long-term solution for those kids, as you described, that thrive in that environment. I got one at home here that's really, honestly, I think, doing a lot better in this environment than day-to-day locked-in schedule. Do you want to speak a little bit about that and your involvement, and how you, again, play with all the different stakeholders and partner with them?
We've had the opportunity. In Minnesota, all districts are required to provide a distance learning option for families. So, as school districts move to hybrid or in person based on the health and safety of where we're at with the virus, families who do not want to participate in any online or any in person learning because of concerns of health and safety, districts have had to provide an online option. So, many schools are kind of doing that with a school within a school. Each one of their schools have kind of been doing that. In Osseo, we decided to centralize that, thinking about how we could focus the resources for families this year who wanted a full-time distance learning option. Make sure we can have a set of dedicated teachers that are not trying to teach in multiple modalities at the same time and can just focus on what they need to with their students. So we've actually had 25% of our student population in our distance learning academy this school year, which has been kind of our testing and pilot ground for what is to come in our full-time official online school starting next school year. So that has been a great benefit and opportunity to what we've done within our organization. So, again, a lot of logistics going into that. We're in the process of hiring staff, putting the course catalog together so students know what courses are available for them, getting students enrolled and signed up, and looking at the technology that students would need and also what staff need in order to function and teach adequately within that environment. And some of the other pieces we've already talked about, like the learning management solution, how do teachers engage with that and deliver instruction in an online environment versus face to face. They use a learning management solution, but they use it differently than they would within an online environment. And as well as, we have classroom technology standards. So we've had to think a little bit about, okay, if I'm an online teacher, what do I need to effectively teach within that space? I'm not going to need the smart board. I might not
Right.
need the document camera the same way that I would within a physical classroom, but there are some different technology needs to help support teachers be effective in that space. So it's been a lot of different avenues and looking at partnering. So partnering with our teaching and learning department and our assistant superintendents who oversee academic programming, and how do we design this? What does instruction look like? And then from the technology standpoint, how do we support that? And what is the data and information that comes to drive the instructional practice once we get into that space?
Yeah, and as we started at the beginning, you're really in the middle of all those pieces. I mean, I'm just looking at a website we just launched called Moving Education Forward, and you're actually featured as one of the educators we quote on this page. But it talks about the 4 areas of overcome learning loss, prepare for 2021 school operations, continue the learning, which gets into assessment and other tools, and of course, empowering teachers, which is not only the hiring and the training side, but also making sure that they are doing well in terms of well-being and they have the necessary tools and resources and pieces there. So it's all wrapped up. We put up resources for each of those 4 areas, kits that people can download. So I'm really thrilled to have talked to you about it. It feels like your district is a perfect example of having gone through all those areas, and you, in your role as executive director of technology, really do see all those moving parts. And it's crucial to have someone in that role like yourself that cares so deeply about student learning. So thank you for your time to talk through this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's been enjoyable.